Something is wrong with our minds. Have you noticed you cannot read like you used to? You sit down with a book, you read a paragraph, and then your hand reaches for your phone without deciding to. You open one app just to check something quick. 30 minutes disappear. You cannot even remember what you looked at. Your mind feels busy, but strangely empty. You want to focus. You try to focus, but something keeps pulling you away. Constant switching, mental fog, a restlessness you can't explain. If this sounds familiar, you are not alone. And this is not just distraction, this is what I call brain rot. Now, before you react to that praise, let me be clear. This is not an insult, it is not a diagnosis, and it is not me saying you are broken. It is a pattern, a slow, quiet decay that happens when a human mind lives in a world of infinite stimulation. And most of us don't even realize it is happening. I'm Dinesh Kumar, author, podcaster, and a lifelong learner. This is the Decay Talks. What brain rot actually means? Let me define it simply. Brain rot is the slow erosion of your attention, your depth, and your mental stamina. It is caused by constant novelty, endless scrolling, short form everything, and zero tolerance for boredom. Think of it like this: it is like eating junk food all day, but for your mind. You are consuming constantly and you are not nourished. You are not tired because you worked hard. You are tired because your mind is overfed and undernourished at the same time, full of input, empty of meaning. And over time, that imbalance shows up everywhere, in your focus, in your mood, in your ability to think clearly, in your presence with people you love. That is what brain rot looks like. Not dramatic, not obvious, just a slow fade. The neuroscience behind it. Let me explain what is happening in your brain. I will keep it simple. There is a chemical called dopamine. Most people think dopamine is about pleasure. It is not. Dopamine is about anticipation, novelty, the promise of something new. Every scroll, every swipe, every new tab, your brain gets a small hit of dopamine. Not because you found something valuable, but because you might. That unpredictability is what hooks you. It is the same mechanism casinos use. You don't win every time, but sometimes you do. And that randomness keeps you playing. Now, here is the problem. When you get these small dopamine hits hundreds of times a day, your brain starts to adapt. It starts expecting that level of stimulation. So everything slower, deeper, or quieter start to feel unbearable. Real work feels heavy. Real thinking feels hard. Real reading feels boring. Not because those things changed, but because your brain changed. Your dopamine baseline got inflated, and now silence feels uncomfortable. Boredom feels like an emergency. Depth feels like punishment. That is not a character flaw, that is neurochemistry. The hidden cost no one talks about. Brain rot does not just steal your time, it steals your ability to focus deeply, to stay with the one thing long enough to actually understand it. It steals your ability to think clearly, to hold a complex thought without escaping. It steals your ability to enjoy simple things, a quiet morning, a slow walk, a meal without a screen. It steals your ability to sit with discomfort, with odd emotions, with uncertainty, and slowly it steals your inner life. That quiet space where reflection happens, where insight appears, where you actually get to know yourself. When your mind is always full of input, there is no room left for depth. You don't just lose focus, you lose presence. And that is the cost no one talks about. The personal layer, my experience. I have experienced this myself. There was a period where I could not sit still for 10 minutes without reaching for something. My mind felt foggy, restless, always searching, never settling. I would sit down to write, and within minutes, I would be checking something anything, not because I needed to, but because the discomfort of focus felt harder than the escape of distraction. I noticed I could not read like I used to. I would read a page, realize I absorbed nothing, and read it again. That is when I knew something was wrong, and I started changing my inputs. Less short form content, fewer notification, more long uninterrupted time. At first, it felt terrible, boredom, restlessness, almost anxiety, but I stayed with it. And slowly, over days and weeks, the fog lifted. I could read again, I could think again, I could sit with myself again. That is when I realized something. My mind was not broken, it was just overstimulated. Why willpower alone does not fix this? Most people think this is a self control problem. It is not. This is an environment plus brain chemistry problem. Your brain is being trained every day by your apps, your feeds, your notification, your habits. You do not choose to have a scattered mind. You are trained into it. Every swipe taught your brain something. Every scroll reinforced a pattern. Every ping rewired a circuit. And now your brain expects that level of stimulation. You cannot just decide your way out. You have to retrain your way out. And that means changing the inputs, not just blaming yourself for the outputs. The way back, how the brain heals. Here is the hopeful part. Your brain can heal. The same plasticity that got you here can get you out. Your brain heals through boredom, monotasking, silence, long form reading, long walks, deep work. These are not productivity hacks, they are medicine for an overstimulated mind. Here is the key idea. Your attention recovers in the direction of what you repeatedly feed it. If you keep feeding it fast, shallow, fragmented input, it will stay scattered. If you start feeding it slow, deep, sustained input, it will calm down. The first few days will be uncomfortable. Your mind will resist. It will crave stimulation, that is withdrawal. Stay with it. Slowly your mind calms down. Depth returns, focus becomes natural again. You do not have to force it. You just have to protect the conditions for healing. A simple anti-brain rot framework. Let me give you a simple framework. 6 principles I follow, not as rigid rules but as gentle boundaries. 1. Reduce inputs before adding habits. Before you try to build new routines, remove the things draining your attention. Create space first. 2. Protect long empty time blocks. Your brain needs unstructured time to process, reflect, and restore. Stop filling every gap with content. Let boredom exist. 3. One screen, one task. When you are working, work. When you are reading, read. When you are watching, watch. Stop layering inputs. Your brain cannot heal while multitasking. 4. Read long form every day. Not tweets, not threads, not summaries, actual books, actual articles, something that requires sustained attention. Even 15 minutes a day retrains your brain for depth. 5. Walk without headphones. I know this sounds small, but it is powerful. Let your mind wander without input. 6. Let boredom exist. Stop treating boredom like an emergency. Boredom is not the enemy, it is the doorway back to depth. Small changes repeated daily that results in a different mind. The deeper point, this is about your life. Let me zoom out for a moment. This is not just about focus. This is not just about productivity. This is about the quality of your life. A distracted mind creates a distracted life. A shallow mind creates a shallow experience of living. And the truth is simple. The quality of your attention decides the quality of your life. Your mind is the lens through which you experience everything. When the lens is foggy, life feels dull. When the lens is clear, even ordinary things feel rich. This is what you are protecting when you protect your attention. Not just your work, not just your goals, your experience of being alive. You do not need to escape the world. You do not need to throw away your phone and move to the mountains. You just need to protect your mind inside this world. Create boundaries, guard your attention, feed your brain what actually nourishes it. Your mind is not broken, it is not weak, it is not lazy. It has just been overstimulated for too long. And when you give it space, it remembers how to be clear. Try one small thing this week. 1 hour of no stimulation, no phone, no music, no input, just you and your thoughts. One day of single tasking, or 20 minutes of real reading every day. Start small, stay with it. Let your brain remember what depth feels like. If this episode helped you, share it with someone whose mind feels scattered. It might be the reminder they need. If you enjoy this conversation, consider liking the video and subscribing. It helps the channel grow. And tell me in the comments, when did you first notice your attention changing? I read every single one. Take care. I will see you in the next one.